Hey, what's up, guys? We are the Airtime Misfits Podcast. It's been a while, but we are back. I am your host, Adam, alongside Nick.
What's up?
This episode is Kingda, a big deal, because we're going to be talking about Kingda Ka. That's right.
Oh, yes, we
And
are.
Green Lantern. We can't forget about that.
Can't forget Green Lantern
Yeah,
and the various
the
flat
other,
rides who are
yeah, the other
also
flat rides.
biting the
Yeah,
dust in
yeah,
this wake of
yeah.
Six Flags Great Adventures Wrath.
Yeah, so Six Flags Great Adventure, they just dropped the big bomb of some pretty
Mm.
big news, like some major coasters being removed for future new record-breaking coasters. So in this episode, we're going to get into all that and what we think could be coming. So stick around.
Kingda Ka opened back in 2005, as many of us are aware who have been enthusiasts for a long time. And to this day, it is still the tallest roller coaster in the world, with one caveat: a Falcon's Flight. That's what it is.
Yes, Falcon's
Falcon's Flight.
flight. Yes,
Too many Falcons, guys.
I know.
Um,
Yeah,
okay.
it's hard to keep them
So
straight.
I
Yeah,
know, yeah. Falcon's Flight
yeah,
obviously is going to be taking that throne, but it did open up with a 456-foot height, and that was right after, well, 2 years after Cedar Point broke the height record of 420 feet with Top Thrill Dragster,
right.
which is now Top Thrill 2 and struggling and fighting for its life.
It is. Yeah,
And as you can see here, Six Flags Great Adventure has taken the record breaker and decided to put the old dog down and lay
yeah,
it to rest. But it did have just a couple more stats. It had a 418-foot drop, and it had a speed of 128 miles an hour.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Adam, did you ever get a front row ride on this?
I never got a front row ride.
Okay.
I did get a back row ride, which was a mistake.
Ooh, that's a
Uh,
mistake too, in and of itself. Yeah.
yeah, I think I got the closest I got to the front was like probably like the row right behind the front.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes. Have
You
you
always
gotten a front
still
row
get
ride? Yeah.
enough there, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a front row ride. So it was rope drop. My friend and
Mm.
I had just flown in from Fort Wayne, and he picked me up in Philly, and we drove up to Great Adventure and got there at rope drop. And obviously, the first thing you do is go to Kingda Ka because of
Yeah.
the line, and God knows how long it'll be operational. And so, we went there. Mind you, I'm going off of 4 hours of sleep probably,
Yeah.
and it was probably the most jarring and painful experience I've ever endured in my life, if I'm being
Yes.
honest with you. It
Yeah.
was just straight up not enjoyable, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I had the same experience the first time I rode it. I can't remember when it was. It's probably like 2017 was
Mm,
the first time I finally got to Six Flags Great Adventure, and I was really excited to ride it. Even though, like, when Kingda Ka opened, obviously it was bigger than Top Thrill Dragster, but I don't think it ever had more people that would say that it was better than Top Thrill Dragster, even though it was taller and faster. I still think the majority of enthusiasts preferred Top Thrill Dragster over it.
yeah.
And when I rode it for the first time, I realized why. And it's because compared to Top Thrill Dragster, for whatever reason, it's just so much more rough and it's
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
jarring, uncomfortable
jarring.
ride.
Yeah, it's a combination of, first of all, the hydraulic launch, which is notoriously
Yeah.
not a smooth launch system, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And with how fast you're accelerating, I mean, you go 0 to 128 in it. What is it like?
3.5 seconds.
3.5 seconds. It's absurd. I mean,
Yeah.
no human body can experience those forces, especially under such a jarring launch
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be sustainable ultimately.
No.
It's a matter
No.
of time. And I knew that day was coming, but honestly, I was a little thrown off by this announcement, I think.
Yeah, same. Like there had been rumors over the last month or so, but for me, it was still hard to believe just because of how massive this coaster was and how iconic it is, and being the biggest and fastest. Not, I guess, not the fastest any longer because Formula
Right.
Rossa
Right.
took that record. Uh, but still, like for how big of a deal this coaster was, it is odd that they are removing it.
I know.
Feels
And
strange.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily probably, and I'm not a local, thank God. I don't know if I could live in Jersey, but um, I don't get the hunch that it is as beloved of a roller coaster as say El Toro. Like I feel
Yeah.
like if El Toro was getting the axe, there would be a bigger uproar.
Hmm.
Generally, what I'm seeing is that people are kind of like, good riddance, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those where you go, you write it for the credit, you write it for the thrill, you write it for that kind of notch in your belt of I rode the
Hmm.
biggest, baddest, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not a rewrite. I didn't rewrite it. I'm not
No.
very regretful of it, you know. So
I did go back. So the like I said, the first time I rode Kingda Ka, I did not enjoy my ride, and
mhm.
then I even rode it a second time just to like be sure that I didn't like it. But I, tried a different row, and I do think the closer you are to the front, it's not as rough as being in the back, but it's still
Yeah.
it's still rough.
Oh yeah. I
Uh,
mean, the back. I can't imagine the force is just mixed with
yeah,
everything. You know. Oh
yeah, and then. I went back to Six Flags Great Adventure about 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, and rewrote it, and it was better than what I remembered, but it was
mm,
still rough. But it was more enjoyable than what I remembered, but it
yeah.
still yeah still wasn't a great experience.
No, I agree. And again, I only wrote it one time, and I'm not upset about that in hindsight. You know, it was a cool, like I said, notch in my belt, kind of like at the time. But it wasn't anything worth rewriting. And ultimately, the only thing that I was really surprised by was the abrupt closure of it.
Hmm.
November
Yeah,
10th. It didn't seem like there was any room for like final rides or anything.
yeah.
You know, I'm
I
wondering if there was something else going on. I don't know.
I don't like when parks do that when they don't give people the opportunity to have a final ride.
Right.
And I always wonder like what the decision was like to not say anything
Yeah.
until after the park was closed because I think
It'd be
I
good for PR, you know?
yeah, and I think it'd be an easier pill for people to swallow that love the coaster that knowing that at least the park gave them like one last chance to ride it and say goodbye or whatever. But when
Yeah.
they close it after the fact, it kind of sucks, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And as somebody that experienced sort of that with Geauga Lake,
Oh, right. Yeah.
you
No
know, it's
warning.
yeah, it stings, and then you end up holding a grudge, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah, I think they're going to lose some people over this, perhaps. But
Hmm.
I don't know if it had that big of a draw, that that loyalty fan base, like again El Toro, for example.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, I in general, I would imagine that most of the people that are locals to Great Adventure are kind of like, okay, yeah, let's move on
Yeah.
to the next thing. The one
What?
thing that I find is interesting, and ultimately with Six Flags and Cedar Fair merging, I'm sure they're looking at the disaster of Top Thrill 2 and
Right.
thinking, we're not even going to entertain the idea of
Right.
reimagining. We're just
Yeah.
knocking
I think
this
that's
thing down and
totally off
moving
the
on.
table. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
not happening. No way.
No, no. And I do wonder, after all the issues that Top Thrill 2 has had, like if they could go back in time, I would assume that Cedar Point would never have like even tried
No.
this revamp of the ride and just demolish it and call it a day on it and do something
Oh
new.
yeah.
So yeah.
And Dick Kensel is famous. He's the former president of Cedar Fair. He was famous
Yeah.
for saying that he never, I mean, if he could go back in time, he would have never built Top Thrill Dragster. Like it
Yeah.
was such a disaster from jump. We've
Yeah.
talked about this in the past, actually.
Yeah, we've done an
Um,
episode on that, so
we
go
have
check that out.
go
Yeah.
check that out, like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, it's again, this coaster at the time, 2004, 2005, or 2003, 2005. Um, it like this was a an awe factor. Like it was something you'd put on a brochure. You'd bring in a lot of people just to come ride it and get that notch on their belt or whatever. And it was a good GP like pleaser, but ultimately that's all it was. It was not something that people would probably say is their favorite coaster. I've never met someone that said
No.
Kingda Ka is my favorite, or it's in my top 10, or
Yeah. Yeah,
nothing like
same.
that.
I've never even
Especially enthusiasts. Not, I mean, I don't know your
right.
average like
Your average one, yeah,
GP.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even I would, and I could be totally wrong, but I would have to guess that even the locals that aren't
yeah.
necessarily enthusiasts, like they'd probably put Nitro and El Toro
Oh,
above King
sure. I
Dakar,
would
and
think.
yeah. And
Yeah, I
I
would
do,
think so.
yeah, and I do think one thing that does sort of soften the blow of this coaster being removed and Green Lantern, which we'll talk about in a second,
Hmm.
is that Six Flags have already announced that, what they're going to do with the land. So they've already announced that in 2026 there's going to be a new multi-record breaking launch coaster. So
Which will be cool. I
yeah,
mean, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
hmm yeah. So should we talk about Green Lantern now?
Yeah.
Segue to Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, man, this one kind of hurts. But
It's
I've
kind of
got some
crazy.
hope here.
I can't think of a time where a park announced like two major coaster removals at the same time, including all the flat rides with it as well. So
Oh, I know.
yeah, it's
It's
pretty crazy. Yeah.
it really is.
Unheard of. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
I was gonna say, I think part of it is I've been reading about, since Six Flags and Cedar Fair have merged together, they just had like their quarterly meeting or whatever, and
yeah,
they announced that they're going to be investing $1 billion over the next 2 years across
yeah,
all of the Six Flags parks, which is a lot of money.
yeah.
And I think
Nuts.
part of that $1 billion is going to be the cost to remove older rides. And
Yeah,
I think
revamp.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, let's hear about Green Lantern.
Yeah, Green Lantern, man. If you know about the Airtime Misfits, you know about my affinity for Mantis and stand-up
Yeah.
coasters. Just that soft spot that I have. So
Yeah.
this one always hurts. It always hurts for me to see a stand-up coaster go. Not
The
that they're
dying
great,
breed. Yeah.
exactly. So as we know, or as we should know, Green Lantern started as Chang at Kentucky Kingdom, which later Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom,
Mhm.
and it stayed there from '97 when it opened, a year after Mantis, which I'll compare that to in a minute.
Yeah.
And it closed in '09 when the park eventually was left to rot for 6 years.
Yeah.
So at that point, Six Flags, who I believe still own the property, perhaps, decided to take, and they were, the spare parts. They shipped some rides off to different
hmm
parks, and Chang ended up going to Great Adventure and becoming Green Lantern. And basically, it's a parking lot coaster. If you've
Yeah.
never been to
Yes.
Great Adventure, it is the definition of a parking lot
Yeah.
coaster.
It's like
Um,
place on a blacktop.
yeah, it's just, I mean, they could have done so much with, and they
Yeah.
did a good amount with theming, I'd say, but like
Yeah.
make it more attractive if you're gonna
Yeah.
just put the
They
stand up coaster on a blacktop.
yeah, it's
It's already
not
not a good coaster. I mean, come
no.
on, you know.
It's not great looking. And
Mm-mm.
so Green Lantern did replace Great American Scream Machine at Great
Yes,
Adventure.
the
But
original
yeah,
parking
this
lot
was
coaster.
would you like a fun fact about Green Lantern?
Love one.
About Chang/Green Lantern. So, fun fact, this coaster was originally meant to go to Six Flags Great America, and in 2010, the pieces of the coaster were actually on site at Great America, and they scrapped the plan at the last minute and instead added a water park.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
So they
which
would have had two stand up
right,
coasters
yeah,
and
because
then
Iron
had
Wolf
Iron
was
Wolf.
there. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I can't remember when did Iron Wolf leave the park? Like
Like
2013,
2012?
2012? Yeah,
No,
that sounds right. I mean, it was yeah.
2012, something like that. Yeah.
So it could have been in 2010. Maybe they knew, Iron Wolf was going to be leaving in the next couple of
Yeah.
years. So, but maybe it would
Bring
have
in the
been,
new thing.
yeah, it would have been interesting if they had for like 2 seasons, two stand-up coasters.
Oh, that would have been, I mean, and that
Yeah.
was before the whole floorless conversion,
I don't know if you could have
craze.
handled that. Could you handle a park with two stand-up coasters?
Oh, dude, not in a way that would have been pleasing to the Lord. I'll tell you that.
You'd have to walk
So,
around with a binder over your
yeah,
your
hey, hey, my feelings about stand-up coasters are personal, kind
Yeah.
of. But
Yeah.
yes, no, but I always compare like I mean, this was in the era of the like late '90s stand-up coaster boom. You
Yeah.
first had in the early '90s, you had the Iron Wolf and the
Hmm.
Vortex, and all these kind of like smaller scale, and then B&M first really went for it with Mantis,
Yeah.
as we know, and Mantis came right before Chang, a year before Chang, and Chang is a pretty darn near close mirror clone of
Yes.
Mantis. However, it is still like a little bit taller, a little bit faster because at the time of the competition and Coaster
Hmm.
Wars. Well, so with that said, it's 154 feet versus Mantis is 145,
Okay. Yeah.
with a drop being 144 versus 137 on Mantis. And then what I thought
So,
was interesting is I didn't realize this. I thought it was pretty much a mirror clone of each other, but Mantis only has four inversions. I guess Chang has five,
oh, I didn't know
which
that.
I did not know that. Or a Green Lantern. I keep saying Chang. It's all the same, I guess. But
Right. I do
yeah,
think I do think for the most part they are mirror clones, other than obviously the slight height difference. But I do think
yeah,
Chang slash Green Lantern has a slightly different ending. I
yes,
think like the first half it's pretty identical,
yeah.
and then the second half is like where they differentiate a little bit.
I'm wondering if that has something to do with like a custom layout for that space, because if I
Mm.
remember correctly, that was where Kentucky
Yeah.
Flyer.
Hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I
So
think it's like
it's in
where
like the
Kentucky Flyer is
crotch
in the
of the
water
park.
park. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is in the crotch. So
it has to be kind of crotch shaped. So that
yeah.
ending has to be a little bit customized, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
I think where Kentucky Flyer is and where like the water park expansion is,
yes,
that used to
yeah.
be Chang.
So in addition to these two coasters iconic, if you want to call at least
Hmm.
Kingda Ka that.
Yeah.
They are also saying farewell to a number of flat rides. Number one, and probably the most notable, being Zumanjaro,
Yeah.
which, if you're not aware, is actually attached to the structure of Kingda Ka, and it's a 410 foot tall, 420, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I believe it was the tallest drop tower.
Yes, I believe it is even
Tallest
to
and
this day,
fastest.
or it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, um, so that's a big loss, I think, in the drop tower community. And
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
with that said, there's also
I was gonna say I actually liked Zuma Manjaro better than Kingda. Like I,
100%,
like
100%.
I think that was more enjoyable to ride.
It was honestly terrifying.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of heights like that, obviously,
Yeah.
but I
That's
was pretty
terrifying.
freaked out.
Yeah.
Like there is
Yeah.
no support. Like I
Hmm.
feel like I felt more open than a lot of
Hmm.
other drop. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just maybe because of the height too. I don't
Yeah.
know,
I
but
mean, really, yeah, when you think about it, this park with removing Green Lantern, Kingda Ka, and Zuma Manjaro, along with the flat rides that we'll talk about, I mean, those are
yes.
three major rides at this park.
Oh, I
Like
mean,
probably three of the more
yeah.
popular rides,
Oh,
you
definitely,
know?
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
King Ka being obviously a top three at least
Yeah.
for the average
Yeah.
GP visitor, and
Hmm.
um,
So what are
but
these flat rides that are going?
yes, so we have a Hus
Hmm.
flat spin, top spin.
Top
That's what I
spin.
meant to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So top spin is it's called the Twister. These were really popular in like the mid to late '90s,
Yeah. I'm not a fan
maybe
of the
even the
top
2000s.
spins.
Yeah, I've never ridden them. I'm not really into
Yeah.
the
You're not into
spinny
those, right?
flippies. Not my thing. Uh,
Yeah. I've been on a
but
couple and they're a lot. They're a bit
yeah,
much.
I love watching them. They're super cool to watch. Like I think
Hmm.
they're a really interesting
I
flat
agree.
ride.
Hmm.
Um, and I also have a lot of nostalgia. I feel like it was just a really popular model back in the day when I
Yeah.
really got into coasters and was learning about different rides. So it's always kind of sad for my nostalgic self to see
Yeah.
these older flat rides bite the dust, which
Yeah.
again is inevitable. It happens. Um, And speaking of another more beloved, I would say probably flat ride, parachutes. Um, I don't know. I feel like that was surprising as well for me. I
Yeah.
think because it's one of the only ones left of its kind in the U.S., if not the only one, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And I can't remember the last time it was operational or if it had been operational even.
Oh, true. That's right.
But
Okay, it
yeah,
has.
I don't
Yeah,
think there's many left in the United States like it
yeah. No, I
or
don't
at
think
all
so.
even. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't think of any off the
Yeah.
top, but
I've been to the park twice and I've wanted to ride it both times that I was at the
yeah,
park, but it was just because it's so unique, but it was closed both times I went. So,
yes, I do remember that
yeah.
being closed when I was there, so that must have been a frequent thing.
Yeah.
But it is such a cool, like antique almost type of ride. Like if you've ever ridden Wonder Wheel or something like that, I
Yeah.
imagine this was what that kind of novelty, you
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
So it's kind of sad to see that go, but
I
again,
think
you know,
so.
you got to make way for the new.
Yeah.
And they've got some interesting flat rides there at Great Adventure already to kind of complement anything else that might come in.
Yeah.
Um, they've got that cyber spin.
Cyborg, Cyberspin. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's an interesting flat ride, and there's not too many of those in the United States. And I've been on that.
Yeah,
That's interesting. It's pretty fun.
yeah. Um,
I don't think
eh,
you would like it though. It might
oh
be too
no,
much spinning for you.
yeah, no, I'm out. No way. I can't even do those 40 free spins, which I'm not upset about. Those don't even look kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yes, the other, what was the other one here that is closing down? Zumanjaro parachutes. And what? Yeah. So those are the flat rides.
yeah.
Um, and we've got some really cool commercials, of course, for
Yeah.
Kingda Ka and for Green Lantern,
Yes.
as is in standard Airtime Misfits form.
Yes. Let's start with the
So
Kingda Ka.
yes,
And
because that's the most interesting.
yeah, so this would probably, I'm assuming this commercial is from around 2005.
Hmm.
And so we'll take a look and or listen if you're listening. But here we go.
128, 3.5, 456, 0. 128, 3.5. Memorize these answers because once you ride Kingda Ka, the tallest, fastest roller coaster
Yeah.
on Earth, who knows what you'll remember? 28. How fast did it go? 128 miles per hour. How
They
many
use this
seconds to
guy's
get to full
voice a
speed?
lot back in these
3.5.
commercials.
How many feet in the air
Oh
did you
yeah,
fly? 456.
he was on
How
retainer.
many coasters in the world are
Yeah.
like it? 0. Come out and experience a whole new great adventure. Buy one, get one free admission Monday through Thursday with a can of Coke.
Ooh, bring your can of Coke.
Ooh,
Yeah.
can of
Yeah.
Coke get you into Six Flags? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Man, that's a
Yeah, I don't
deal.
that commercial is okay. Like I don't think it's super effective. They just like kept repeating the stats in that like creepy voice or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm sure people are getting hyped about it. So I don't think we mentioned it. The only difference other than the height and the speed about this compared to Top Thrill Dragster is they did add an airtime hill after that drop.
Yes.
Which
Which I
doesn't,
wouldn't say enhances it or
yeah,
makes it worse.
exactly.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think other than making it a bit different than Top Thrill Dragster, I don't think it added to the ride.
I will say the one saving grace of it is that it really helps you slow down that insane
Yeah,
acceleration.
that's
You
true.
know?
Yeah, that's true.
But with that said, you're going so fast, so it becomes kind of almost. I don't know. Would you say it was a little bumpy for you when you were having that like that final brake run after that Camelback?
Yes, obviously the roughest part though is the launch for me,
Sure, but
and
like
then
coming to that stop is
it's a
almost
jolt. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
exactly. It's
It's
like
not a
an
smooth
electric,
process.
right? Yeah,
No.
yeah,
It's like throwing
not at all.
an anchor out and just like slowly like, dragging
Yes,
dirt and stuff behind you.
yes.
Uh yeah, it's not great. Okay, so let's watch this slash listen to the Green Lantern commercial. This would have been what, 2011?
Brightest day in blackest night. No evil shall escape my sight.
Yeah.
Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light.
Stand up to your
Up your
fear.
feet on the new Green Lantern stand-up coaster. Last chance to save on Six Flags season passes. Touring price goes up and free parking offer goes away after May
Okay.
30th. Go big. Go Six Flags. Great adventure.
Go big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I thought that commercial was better. Like it was a pretty cool commercial. And this Green Lantern ride came out around the time when Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern movie came out. So it was kind of
Yes, it was kind of a playoff
coincided with that.
promo, sort
Yeah.
of like Terminator at Magic
With
Mountain.
Terminator Salvation. Yeah.
Yeah,
hmm
exactly.
So obviously with the removal of these rides, like there's a massive chunk of land because these Kingda Ka, Green Lantern, and these flat rides all like once you remove them, like the land is like a big
It's
long
huge.
stretch of land that all connects together. So they've already announced that it is going to be a multi-record breaking launch coaster that will open in 2026. So
Hmm.
what are your thoughts about that? What kind of records do you think that they could be trying to break?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder if they're just gonna go kind of balls to the wall
Mm-hmm.
and try and recreate some variant of King Ka, something
Mm-hmm.
that is just as tall, if not taller, with a more modernized launch system,
Yeah.
um, maybe even a longer ride time,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can have multiple trains going at a quicker capacity
That'd be good. Yeah.
for sure.
I think the
So
main thing would be
that's what I would
something more
like.
reliable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
hmm
something more reliable. I mean, these Intamin strata coasters, as we've seen, are just not reliable. They're not it.
No.
I mean,
No.
they're just not
Yeah.
going to last,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
So
They're expensive to maintain. They're difficult to maintain.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, I could see them. I don't know if I would love to see them go for the a height record again. Although I don't know what that would be with Falcon's flight opening because I know that's like
yeah,
ridiculously tall.
that would be hard. So
Yeah.
might
So
be a
that
record breaker for the U.S. or
Yeah, it'd
something.
be like a US or North America or whatever. But I could see them doing something like where they try to break the speed record, maybe. And again, I
Yes,
don't know what Falcon's flight is. Like, I think that's pretty ridiculously fast. So
yeah, something stupid. I
it's
can't
like
remember.
150 or something like that. Like, it's
Yeah,
insane. Yeah. So what multi-record breaking. So I guess what I'm thinking it's either going to be speed or length.
yeah, I'm thinking both.
hmm
That's my best guess. Is they're gonna
Yeah.
go for a nod to King Ka, where it broke both of those records.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like
You don't
they
think, I
could
mean,
also go more modest and go for like, uh, you know, a record like most launches in a
yeah.
cycle or
Yeah.
something like that.
Or like tallest like reverse launch or
Yeah, yeah,
tallest inversion. I mean, it could be
something more
anything.
niche. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like the most inversions on a coaster or whatever. I
no,
don't think it's gonna be like that. I think that would be a mistake.
yes,
I think that really the biggest draw would be the tallest, fastest coaster in the United States. I
I
think that would
agree.
be the biggest draw. And I think that would be a coaster worthy of replacing Kingda Ka.
Yeah, even though it was a kind of a pile of garbage.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I do think though if it's anything less than that, like anything less than a speed record or height record, I think people are going to be disappointed.
I agree. I mean, you got to show up for those Jersey people, man. They're not gonna
You
take
don't want to make
anything.
them angry. No,
No, no.
no. Well, I'll be excited to see what comes next. I think it'll be really interesting to watch this thing come down.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's not moving to another park anywhere.
Mm-mm.
They could
I'm
move it
guessing.
to Michigan's Adventure. Can you imagine? It'd be like the tallest structure in the entire state.
I was gonna say it easily would be.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't, and Green Lantern, we didn't really get into it, but that could possibly be moved somewhere. I would love to see it back at Kentucky Kingdom.
Yep, Chang the Revenge or
Yeah, oh, that'd be
something
sweet
like
with
that.
floorless. Yeah, make it
Yeah,
floorless.
yeah.
Yeah.
Make it floorless or surf.
Yeah. Oh, or surf. Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. I think it'll be exciting to see what they do. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to check out our older episodes. They're all very entertaining, and we hope to get back on the wagon and producing these episodes more regularly. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment below. Find us on Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.